It says we're live. We'll see. I am currently checking everything out here. Welcome to the Heron Fidelity test stream if you happen to be hanging out. This is currently just me screwing around with OBS and just making sure I've got some settings correct. It looks like I have a chat window currently visible. Yay. And I've got a picture in the background. Let us see here. Where can I put things that will make it easier to see? My GPU is running overtime right now. I think for this particular broadcast, I will be just going over some of the things regarding CES that I saw and enjoyed. If you are so inclined to play along, if you have any questions, please just shoot them to me in the YouTube chat, and I'll keep an eye on that while this is going. Let's see. Go right into what looks cool. Probably, I'm going to say one of the TVs I'm looking most forward to this year is the Hisense U8 series, for sure. Talking at least 1500 nits of light output, various screen sizes. I think a beautiful design. The bang for the buck is extremely good. And let's see. Oh, I have like every photo, of course, posted. A little more close up of it. This is one of the TVs I really do want to check out in person as soon as possible, as soon as it's released, so to speak. I'll be curious to see what the actual brightness of the U8K will be. A 4K TV, known as the 8K, so to speak. I hope the audio is okay. Let me see. Double check on that. It looks okay on this end. I will I'll verify a lot of this later. I don't want to just bust up too much here. Oh, I was going to hook up my other computer so I could show off some of the video calibration software I have. I will do that another time. Otherwise, I'll have to jump off of here and go grab that notebook, which I'm trying to remember where I put it. But one cool thing about running this with OBS Studio is the fact that I can actually add a notebook or two to show off certain software. Cool. Thank you, Evan. I appreciate it. This is currently running through NVIDIA Broadcast to try to help minimize some of the room echo and other issues related to recording and streaming, so to speak. Again, I really was enjoying the U8K at CES, so to speak. The Hisense booth had just about everything you could ask for in terms of home theater, TVs, projectors. This will be their top of the line 4K for 2023. Let's see. I've got a close up, I think, of. There we go. Yep, mini LED. I believe they're claiming at least twice as many local dimming zones. If I would assume that means twice as many LEDs or mini LEDs in the backlight system. 1500 nits of peak brightness. I guarantee you it's going to go brighter than that. Hisense is they seem to always understate what their TVs are capable of. And along with the other great features out there, including game mode, 144 hertz. Hopefully that's also in 4K. Either way, it should be a wonderful set. What else are we looking at here? Oh yeah, this was their flagship, the UX or the ULED X series TV. This is an 8K. You can kind of see it on the edge here. It's a little thicker. Here, I wonder if I can zoom that in or get a better view here. But it's kind of a chunky sucker for being an 8K TV. It's got a significantly thicker design than the U8K in the sense that this TV should feature up to 5,000 mini LEDs. At least, this was kind of a question I had regarding which models will feature that many LEDs. I think it's going to be based upon size. They may be claiming that it is going to be something like, let's see if I have a picture of it. They had a 110-inch version of this TV. Sorry for skipping around here. Let's see if I can find the. There it is. That beast. I believe this includes this base stand you see it sitting on in terms of getting this 110-inch 8K TV, if this even ships this year. But Hisense was talking about something called the 3x5 design, where it was effectively 3,000 nits, 5,000 zones of local dimming. That would be pretty cool to see. I'm thinking they were referring to perhaps the 110-inch version for that. We'll see. We'll see if it actually arrives. I will be duly impressed either way. This, of course, also integrates some pretty significant audio in terms of speakers built in to probably this base stand in addition to the TV itself. Again, I am really curious for this 110-inch version, does it require this bass, this Hisense branded bass? And that was one thing I did not verify when I was at the show a few weeks ago. And there it is side by side with the 85-inch version. Again, though, you're talking at least 2,500 nits of light output. It should be just a delightful screen. Lots of local dimming. Probably one of the TVs I'm also looking forward to, but more so for the U8K in terms of just the everyday TV. This should be a good flagship. We'll see. We'll see what kind of quantity it reaches us in. Hopefully, at least the 85-inch will be out sooner than later. More beautiful pictures, blah, blah, blah. And let us see. What else? Which way does this go when I do that? Okay. A billion TVs. Here we go. 8K laser. I talked about this on AVXL, and I probably also talked about it on one other show as well, but this was their 120-inch 8K laser TV demo. I believe it includes the screen, I want to say. Triple color laser, BT 2020. They're claiming up to 400 nits of light output from this, which is quite a bit considering reflected screen technology, you know. This should just be pretty fantastic. Here's the actual beast itself. But to be able to have that close to the wall makes it for an easier install. Built-in speaker systems. That RGB laser system for doing this kind of video gives you pretty fantastic color. That's one thing for sure. RGB laser can exceed the current, at least the current color standard used in HDR video. It actually exceeds the BT 2020 spec by a few percent, which is pretty impressive. You know, that's a good question. I'll get back to you on that, but that's something I will look up. I would assume you should be able to. I know at least a couple of models are, in fact, able to be mounted upside down or just ceiling mountable in general. It shouldn't influence the cooling of these displays or of the projector system itself. So it would bum me out if it couldn't be, but that's a good point. I've seen other lasers that can be ceiling mounted, of course, JVCs, and I would like to think this is one of them as well. Although here we go, Some more pictures of that projector. These are all just kind of raw shots. I just grouped them. Here's it just happens to be the Hisense booth, by the way. And again, another shot of that 8K projector showing off apparently some 8K content. It is, granted, there isn't a whole lot of 8K content out there, but the one nice thing really is that this is at least able, for a large screen, for something like 110 inches or larger, that really makes for a seamless looking picture, even though you're doing a lot of up converting of, 2K and 4K content still. It depends on what's on the bottom of the projector. Most projectors have two or three or four mounting points, at least when you ceiling mount them, I'm thinking, if that's what you mean. And then the screen itself is just attached to the wall, probably with a custom bracket, or it depends if they're actually including that screen or not. That's another point I'll be curious to say or see. If it's going to be something like are they going to bundle in ambient light rejecting screen, or are they going to make that an optional deal so that you are able to cut the price of that projector a little bit and you can go with your own screen option, so to speak. But otherwise, you know what? I'll take a look at what previous projectors from Hisense have done in terms of being ceiling mountable. That's just something I'm not familiar with off the top of my head. I was just looking at a laser projector from JVC a couple weeks ago that was, in fact, mountable upside down. You could put it in any form you needed it to. And it was built specifically for that. Oh, brightened it up a little bit. A couple more shots of the 8K projector. There's a little blur action. And here's the L9 with the 100-inch screen. These trade show environments, that 100-inch screen doesn't look very big. See if I can get it, just zoom it in a little bit more. There we go. But again, I believe this is triple laser as well. Yeah, exceeding BT 2020. They're going with the ANSI lumen rating for this projector. Testing 1, 2, 3. Hi, John. I'm just testing out the interface on this. I'm just seeing if the chat window I have looks decent. Making sure my audio works. I need to go over my stream settings. They seem to fluctuate around 7 or 8 megabit. That seems reasonable to me. Doing this with a H.265 upload, HEVC, real time encoded and delivered to the YouTubes. And my room is actually getting kind of dark in here. Forgive me if I've got the lighting on myself is a little less than subpar. I could go kick on a light actually and brighten up this room a little bit. Here, I'll do that. One moment, please. Or actually, you know what? Here, let me get rid of my face. Boop. Oh, and I'm back. All right, here. Bam. Hopefully. Yeah, I think that made my video should look a little bit better, like it matters. But anyway, pop, pop. And there's a close up. I believe, yeah, that was the L9. Yeah. Again, they make wonderful looking displays. I am very curious. I want to say they're doing Dolby Vision. And something else I'll be keeping an eye on for this year is Dolby Vision enabled projectors. I think that should become a more commonplace thing. In addition to, I'll bet. I got to work on my lighting a little bit better. You know what? I have a couple of key lights that I can position strategically that would help minimize some of that. Thank you, though. I appreciate it. The feedback. Is that chat box actually readable? Is that even worth keeping on the screen? Because I know, like, on devices, you can also just have a chat window separate within the application itself. So is it redundant? I'm thinking it might be, but it's just something I'm trying out just to see if I wanted to show actual chat on the screen, I could for myself. And here's one oddity I came across at the show: a 4K TV, crazy specs. Literally, they were claiming 5,000 zones of local dimming. The P1 series, I don't know if this will come out in North America or at all. Offered in basically one size. Good to know. Okay. It might not even be worth it because when I'm on my mobile device for looking at chat anyway with YouTube, I'll just turn on the chat function within the app itself and be able to read it there. So if that's the case, I'll probably go ahead and get rid of that and reclaim some of the space and make the window for when I'm doing something like a slideshow like this a little bit bigger. In fact, let me do that right now. And one moment, please, while I edit this. Oh, pictures, unlock. There we go. Let's move that, say, right there. And transform center vertically. Lock it down. I don't know how that came across. Hopefully not too crazy, but right. Anyway, I was saying about the P1 here. It's a they're claiming 5,000 zones of local dimming, 2,500 nits of peak brightness, all the formats. But the cool thing was apparently base drivers. And here, let me get to an actual picture of it. This particular TV, effectively incorporating all of the audio you would need for a room in order to enjoy something like this. You wouldn't need a sound bar with a TV like this. However, given its specs, I would think this is more for maybe a, I don't want to say an outdoor environment, but given its brightness and its audio capabilities, yeah, you know what? I could almost make this. I need to experiment with. Like to make that a little bit bigger. But yeah, that TV effectively they were showing off just how good of an audio system you could put into a TV. And if the specs are to be believed, having something like 5,000 nits, it was 5,000 nits, wasn't it? No, 5,000 zones, 2,500 nits of peak brightness. That would be something you could use like in a patio scenario or somewhere you needed exceptional light output. And you didn't want to deal with a secondary speaker system for it. Kind of an interesting product, if nothing else. I don't know how practical that is for a lot of people. I think I would rather have something that focused more on just the audio quality or the video quality, like the H8K in particular coming up this year. But still, that was pretty neat. And I took a couple of pictures of that sucker. Sonic screen though. What were they claiming? 4 centimeter drivers, quite a few of them. It could get loud, and it sounded pretty decent for what it was. Behind that rope there, I was sitting in a in a fairly smallish room, but you could see they had audio acoustic treatments on the walls to help make it sound a little bit better. That TV had plenty of volume to dump out. This for this particular demo, this was more about featuring the audio, I think, of the TV itself, and to show that it had plenty of light output. to handle the room we were in. This wasn't like I almost don't even consider this a home theater TV. I didn't think of anything on the screen that they were showing when I saw this demo to be noteworthy in terms of just absolute image quality. It was, I think, more to show that they could incorporate something that would easily exceed the power of a typical sound bar, so to speak. Oh, there's a yeah. I mean, not bad picture quality. Actually, you can kind of see some of the transportation issues as they move that TV around. Some of the unevenness. I wouldn't call it vignetting, but there is a little dirty screen effect. You know, in terms of stereo separation, that was one thing I don't recall being demonstrated at least effectively at a trade show, was being able to do at least a kind of like a bouncing ball effect, or having it go a good panning audio effect of some kind. I think would have been a good idea for a product like that. I think it was more like, if you absolutely positively need a very bright TV with apparently very good local dimming and exceptional audio, at least loudness and some bass, this was a decent product to take a look at. This I believe is the UX, or the ULEDX. This kind of gives an overview of here. Let me zoom in a little bit on this to show off all of the features from the company. That's one nice thing with Hisense as well. It will be doing a next gen TV tuner built in, although there's some, how often is that really used? It's not as popular as I wish it were, but anyway, ATSC 3.0 would be pretty cool for HD and beyond broadcasts, or 4K broadcasts and beyond. And of course, all their TVs effectively are carrying, all their premium TVs at least, including here the UX series, Wi-Fi 6, Dolby Vision, Dolby Atmos, Dolby Vision IQ. I'll be curious to see how that works, actually. I encountered what was it, a Samsung TV. Their top of the line from last year, I was looking at recently, the 900B LCD, and it had the built-in something like Dolby Vision IQ. I don't believe it was Dolby Vision IQ, but where it would sense the room, the lighting conditions, and adjust the TV appropriately in terms of how bright or dark the picture was. And I found it did a pretty good job. So that is something I kind of appreciated. It was in a general use environment. This wasn't like a dedicated home theater room. This was like a giant living room slash kitchen open space area, and having that automatic brightness control built right in, and have it work appropriately was pretty cool. I have to admit, it worked really well, especially once the lights, after the sun went down and the room got a little bit darker. The TV just ramped it back down a little bit, which was really nice without having to mess with any menus or anything like that. And that's really what I'm hoping here in terms of Dolby Vision IQ for a TV like this one in particular. Again, kind of nuts. We'll see. Will this TV actually make it? I'm not sure. In terms of the U.S. market, at least, I think the UX will, but again, we shall see. I'm not holding my breath on that one. Going right back to value here, this was kind of a confusing setup, and I think this had to do more with just the model names. Here's the U6K. This will be the entry level U6 series. Uh, this is another great value for folks who are just looking for a terrific TV that has all the features you may want at a more affordable price than something like the U7 or the U8, of course. And what are we talking here? Full array local dimming. God, you got your Dolby Vision, Dolby Atmos, quantum dot color. What are they saying? 1,000 nits? Is it really? Here, let me zoom in a little bit on that. Nope, 600 nits. So, okay. So for the 6 series, solid 600 nits at a good value. 7 series will get you up to 1,000 nits, and then the U8 will take you all the way to 1,500. And I think honestly, yeah, like I said before, they are likely lowballing all of these in terms of just how much light you're actually going to get out of it. One thing I hear is the main complaint about all of Hisense's TVs, as good of a value as they can be, is that, and with LCDs in general, except for a select few, is the off-axis viewing performance. It can be it can be less than stellar, and it can quickly tarnish the incredible contrast you can get when you're sitting front and center. If you're just shifted off a few degrees off to the side, it's not nearly as, oh, that's good to know. Head on with a Hisense TV or any LCD is going to be the best case scenario. And a more premium model like the U8H, like John has, would be something I'd be like, I'm glad to hear that it puts out a good picture. That's a TV I've been quick to recommend to anybody who just needs solid performance without spending a lot. It can be terrific. Here, let me zoom in a little here. We've got just the wall. The one weird thing I noticed at the show was that they had the U65H, the U65HR, and the U6K. And one difference between the H and the HR is Roku going to be enabled within the TV, or will Google TV be the operating system of choice? And I'll be curious to see if the 6K, just the regular 6K, incorporates Roku or Google. And I wonder if I have a close up here of these TVs. Let's see. Here's the HR I was mentioning, and this is the Roku TV version of the U6. Again, 600 nits, full array local dimming, and the U6H. And it doesn't mention Roku on this one. So, and then the HR, back to Roku TV OS. So that was just something I came across, and I am not seeing, as far as the plain 6K goes, I'm not seeing anything that suggests it will be a Roku TV or not, at least not yet. So that might mean it's going to be a Google TV. Either way, that really doesn't matter for a lot of people. If you don't like the OS your TV ships with or uses for app delivery, you can always add your own device, streaming stick, streaming box, game console, whatever. But U7, again, this bumps you up from the 600 nits of the 6 series. 7 gets you up to 1,000. It also gets you the, I believe, 144 hertz for the game modes. Just a bit more performance, but coming just short of the 8 series. I I had a great time at the Hisense booth. There's just so much to take a look at. Things that are practical, I think, for a lot of people in terms of cost, and I think in terms of reliability. That's one thing. I will put together a slideshow about a trip I did to Hisense's manufacturing facilities. And one thing that came across is, I think I have some pictures of this too, is how they test these TVs for environmental potential for defects and things like that. Effectively, something like a shipping container that is sealed and insulated, and then they'll ramp it up to like 115, 120 degrees with almost 100% humidity. Literally, moisture's just flying through the air, and they look at how these TVs fail. And Hisense was one of the few companies that I've encountered throughout my career where they were they were quick to show how they tested their products for failure. That's typically, you think of, like, I had a visit one time with Samsung in their mobile division. Their willingness to show you how they test their phones for failure was like, forget it. You just aren't going to get anything out of them unless it's a very special agreement you have. Even on the TV side, it was very rare to see how they tested for failure. Hisense, on the other hand, was like, oh, here we go. We all but shoot a hose right inside of them and see how they actually explode. And then we go back and test it. So, oh. Oh, Babylon 5 was on HBO? Well, I can't wait. I still have that as the DVDs, and it would be nice to have that all on streaming. I would watch that again. That's a good question. Let me go back. What was that? I am not certain of this soundbar product. I will be curious to see how they compete. Currently, it looks like Samsung is one of the very best you can do as far as soundbars go from the TV manufacturers. I read nothing but superb reviews of their products, and everyone seems generally very happy with that. Even the even the ratings folks, RTINGS, they typically will rate them very high as well. I have a Sonos set up at home, so I would be curious to actually get a hold of something like this and test it out just to see how it goes. Especially, it looks like it includes a couple of satellites plus a subwoofer. I don't know if I have any other close up photos of that. Let's see. There's some more U7 action. A couple different screen sizes. Oops. And that is the end of that folder. All right. What else can I show you guys? Let's see. Well, let me check. Okay, the stream is apparently excellent, is healthy. Okay, that's good to know. Uh, what other photos do I have? Some TCL stuff. TCL TVs I'm also looking forward to. Here, let me see. Do I have a closer image of that? Dolby and DTS. Sorry for the blurriness of my zoom there, but that was one interesting thing to see at least with LG is the return apparently of at least DTS compatibility, where it'll at least allow a pass through to a compatible speaker system. Apparently, that was missing for a couple of years, for the last 2 years, I believe, out of their products. That'll be coming back to their OLEDs in general. What issues have you had with the Beam and the U8H, John? Was that related to, like, are you experiencing delay, or is it just usability in terms of like the thing doesn't turn on and off appropriately? Or I'd be curious. I'd be curious to know. And if there's anything I could pass along to Sonos, I do interact with that company more often than not. And if it's something you can point me to in terms of exactly the issues you're having with it, I'd love to throw that in their face and encourage them to make it better. Or it could be a Hisense issue, in which case I have contacts there too that I would love to just make it all work a little bit better with, especially if it's something they can do with a firmware update. Here, let me get a little bit further ahead here. That's all that. Let's see. I'll do one more. Let's see. I have some LG, Samsung. Can't adjust the volume with the U8H. Need to use the app. Oh, well, that's annoying. And I assume you've done the remote setup within the Sonos app, and still no bueno. That's annoying. I'll dig into that a little bit. That's something I would like to learn more about in case I ever run into it in the field, so to speak. Let's see. It's 40 minutes of streaming so far, 39 minutes. And I appreciate you guys for being here. You know, breakout HDMI switch would be pretty cool, I would say, especially for soundbars. That's my main complaint with Sonos soundbars in general is the fact that it's just a one way. You're sacrificing one of the HDMI ports on your TV for that soundbar to have it, and it shouldn't be as kooky as that. At the very least, a pass through. And oh, oh, got it. I don't know if you have the new Beam Gen 2 or just Sonos in general, at least with the fiber optic cable port. And I know this is common on a few devices now, but at least the last product I looked at that featured, what was it? No, it was the Sonos Ray, the entry level soundbar product that only had fiber optic input. It actually allowed you to plug that fiber optic cable in any of the four directions. It didn't have a use for a it didn't require that you insert that cable because the way fiber optic cables are for audio, they're keyed in a certain way, and historically you've only been able to plug it in one direction. It only fits one way, but they're using those four-way ports now where it really doesn't matter which way you plug it in, it'll just go in and center up, and that's something at least I've appreciated. Let me just quickly jump through a couple extra. Let me show off. I have a few pictures of that Panasonic panel, their OLED they were showing. I took a whole mess of photos at Samsung. Holy cow, they had so much stuff going on. Here, I'll pop into their view here. Here was Samsung set up off the show floor. This was actually at the oh where was it? MGM, I think. I think it was in MGM. Oh, Caesars. It's Caesar's Palace. Excuse me. And they they had very little actually on the show floor itself. So here are their micro LED displays from about 50 inches on up to 140 inches or so. Incredible brightness. The cost of these TVs. I think that one. Let's see. The one that is next to the last on the right is 110 inches, I believe. And that I think could be a wonderful replacement for a lot of people looking to just to have a super high performance home theater display that isn't so large that you would probably need special installation requirements to get that into a home in order to set it up. The beauty of these was up to 5,000 nits of light output, incredible color saturation, and just having direct LED emissive displays too was just a pretty fantastic overall. Close up of the micro LED chips and different ways they can organize those in terms of creating larger or smaller displays. Kind of cool. A little close up of the actual technology it is. Yep, those Toslink ports. That was just a cool thing I noticed on Sonos products, and I'm sure others nowadays as well, is that the thing you plug the cable into will accept it in any direction, which was just kind of convenient and nice. Here's a couple of close-ups of the Samsung micro LED TVs. Again, very expensive for what they are. 5,000 nits. Yeah, these things could be extremely bright. I'm sure they've tuned the RGB LEDs to be very close to what DCI color is, so you're going to get great color saturation, and that it's emissive. They can shut off for perfect black, so you've got a little bit of everything. But the price tag of these is not. I think even the 50-inch one's a five-digit price tag, so not not cheap. Oh, what's this? Let's see. This is, I want to say this is the 90A or the 90C or 95C. I think this is the 4K version of their QLED technology. So this will be the 4K 85-inch version. More of a value than, say, the 900C would be, the 8K version. Still, I love the TVs like these. Yeah, 5,000 nits. Boom. Now, it's not like you're just sitting there staring at a screen of white either for something like 5,000 nits, but to be able to do peak brightness off of an LED for, things like glinting chrome in a sunlit scene or really bright stars on a black background of a star field or something like that, or the explosions that happen in cinema. It would be really cool to have a TV with the ability to punch up that bright, yet still become and have the contrast level capability of something like an OLED. That for me is that was awfully fantastic. And here I am drooling over their OLED designs, the quantum dot OLEDs at Samsung. You can catch a glimpse of the back of the one TV here on the right. Let me zoom in a little on that. This is the premium model here on the right. I don't know if this is the same model here on the left, but the 77 on the right, you can see the back of it with the speakers barely visible and that one connect box. Here, you know what? Let me turn on my cursor so I can point at something here. I don't know if you guys will even be able to see this cursor, but let me capture my cursor. There we go. This box right here is the one connect box. So basically, one cable goes up into the TV, and then this will include at least two different cables. A short one that allows you to connect this one connect box right on the back of the set so that you can have all your inputs and everything in one nice compact unit. Or it also will include a longer one connect cable that allows this box then to be placed in, say, a separate cabinet with your other gear, and then run relatively short connections right into that. But this one cable will provide the power and all the video signals right into the new. What's this going to be? This will be the Q95C. No cursor. I think my cursor is just too damn small. Let's see. I need to make my cursor a little bigger. Anyway, here I'll super zoom it. Super zoom. Oh, that fuzzy box right there, leaning. I wonder if I can make my mouse cursor bigger. I probably can. Here, let me see if I can adjust that real quick. Do 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 do. Size. Here, let me just. Oh, that's hilarious. Let me know if you can see this. Wow. Okay, this is even. This might be. I think I might have gone off the deep end here. Uh, no, it doesn't. Oh, it just shows it on my end. Yeah. Anyway, here, let me fix this back. Something for me to play with. An easier way to. Oops. I need a way to an easier way to point out things on the screen like that. Unfortunately. Anyway. Oh, do you still see it? I just want it larger on the screen, and let's see. I'm gonna try that one more time. Do 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 do. Yeah, it doesn't look the same in the stream as it does on my screen. Anyway, the QD OLED stuff is probably my favorite technology at the show in terms of relatively affordable and in terms of just having more screen sizes available in terms of 55, 65, and 77 inches. The new, the 2023 TVs versus the 2022, one of the differences they showed off at the show, side by side, comparing the last year's and this year's technology, is is going to be, I think, the efficiency given the new blue emitter. And the question I had is whether or not this new S90C is going to also incorporate that new blue emitter, or is it just going to be reserved for the premium S95C? And that we will kind of wait and see. I have a feeling it's all just going to switch to this new emitter for 2023, and unless they really do plan to offer maybe a lower cost version with the current technology. But otherwise, that new blue emitter should enable a more robust TV. It should have better longevity, in addition to being, I want to say, up to 30% brighter. That was one thing. It seems like everyone doing the OLED, be it LG or Samsung, are claiming a couple thousand nits of peak brightness, at least with certain configurations of the screen. So this is going to be a really interesting year in terms of at least the more premium OLED designs. And this was definitely a TV on my short list. And to see if Samsung can also kind of prevent some of the issues we were seeing with the S95B, the 2022 version. I had so many reports and so many people who were going through those TVs, or they'd buy one brand new in the box and it wouldn't be perfectly flat in the box. Taking it out, the TV would have a certain curve to it where it shouldn't be. It should be a nice, flat, rigid screen. And either it's something to do with manufacturing or transportation or what have you, but either way, just some more wonderful pictures of that sweet OLED technology. The 77-inch screen right here. You know what? I will dedicate a stream coming up to, and this is something I'm hopefully will be able to. I'm going to plan on doing this at least once a week for the time being, if not more often. And I will dedicate a stream coming up to the software that I use for testing TVs. I actually have my notebook here in the room that I can link right in, and you guys can see that screen in addition to the hardware that I use for actually testing. My main light meter is a Klein K10A, and it is a pretty fantastic piece of gear, I will say. Let me. What does the K10A actually look like? Let's see. Let's see. Uh, do 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 do. Here, let me copy that. Copy, copy, paste. Okay. Um, copy. Oh, one moment, please. Let me. Apologize. I am playing around with the setting here, and I shouldn't be doing that. And here, let me lock that. Let me move this down. And here, let me show you guys this real quick. Whoops. Put it in front of that. There we go. Transition. Boop. There's a K10A. I'm sorry. That meter right there will actually read very, very bright light. I could almost point it at the sun. I wouldn't want to do that. That would be a foolish waste of such a wonderful piece of hardware. But that's just an example of the meter that I use. And the beauty of a meter like that is not only is it compatible with super bright light sources, it's also exceptional for measuring very dark patches on a screen, like when you're dealing with OLED TVs. To be able to accurately measure a very dimly lit, say, section of the screen in terms of what color that is or what luminance that is, that's where it requires a meter like that to really be able to be able to do it accurately. And there's some other hardware I'll get into as well that kind of go along with that meter in particular. But that's my main tool. I keep referring to it. The thing right above my head is the main tool that I use for dealing with calibration measurements, and that's what is feeding into the software that I use. It also features the ability to read at distance. So if I'm doing projection systems, I can set that on a tripod back a few feet, and it also has a built-in laser targeter that kind of shows you the relative area that the meter is actually reading, the size of the patch that it's looking at. So it kind of gives you a heads up in terms of where it's looking and about the area that it's measuring in terms of taking in that image. Typically on an LCD or an OLED, I will have this thing point blank right on the screen. And depending on the room lighting conditions, if necessary, I'll even put a microfiber cloth around it to help block out even more of the ambient light if there is any, especially when dealing with TVs that have very high contrast, OLEDs in particular, where you're dealing with it. Anyway, I'll get that off the screen there. But that meter has no problem going well in excess of 10,000 nits or 20 or 30,000. I do have some other meters though that I depend on that are in more of like the 2,000 nit range that I'll probably have to upgrade here in the near future. That's something else I'll get into for 2023. OLED, OLED, OLED. Can you tell I like this TV a little bit? There we go. Some more of the 77. Just kind of burning through. Color purity, or yeah, for Samsung's OLED tech, that lack of a white subpixel really just stands out in terms of when you get into color saturation, and it's pretty fantastic in terms of just how good its color coverage is for the given brightness it's putting out. It, I think the only thing that's really going to exceed this into the future in terms of display technologies will be something like emissive quantum dot, where the actual quantum dot materials themselves are directly stimulated to produce output for color. And that was on demonstration. That type of technology was on demonstration, not was at CES, but not on the show floor. And that happens to be a local company named Nanosys that I am about 15 minutes away from. That I will be paying them a visit here in the near future. They're a good company. They're the quantum dot pioneers as far as I'm concerned, in terms of guiding companies like Samsung and others. Effectively, anybody in the TV space that's using quantum dot technologies is almost always using Nanosys for that. And they actually had a demo in a private suite where they were showing off emissive quantum dot displays where you have no color filter. So that's the one thing with all of these TVs, be it an LCD or an OLED, they all incorporate a color filter on the front. You're taking a light source and putting it through a filter system to create additional colors. And in the case of QD-OLED, at least, they're using quantum dot color converter instead of, say, a plastic color filter like OLED does, or a resin-based OLED filter, a resin-based color filter, the way, say, like LG's OLED TVs do. So that increased efficiency just brings the brightness, and that's a key for getting basically the performance they're looking at doing for this year. Here's a demo they had for that Philips surround lighting, if that's your thing. There's a little bit better picture of that. Didn't spend a lot of time there, but hey, it caught my attention. This wonderful display. Oh my goodness, this was the another example of their QD-OLED technology, the 49-inch Odyssey OLED G9 that'll be coming out, 240 hertz. Just, I mean, it's kind of a giganto stretched monitor, but still, the picture performance was pretty fantastic overall. And if you are an ultra wide screen enthusiast, this is probably going to be one of the very best displays of the year. I think it's a little too big for my particular needs and desk space at the moment, but I do have a. I'll be calibrating one of the Alienware 34-inch widescreen quantum dot OLED monitors in the next few weeks. I'm basically waiting for the owner to put a few hours on the TV. I wanted them to put at least 120 hours on the OLED panel itself. Wait at least a month overall, just to make sure that's exactly the panel they're going to keep, and not swap it out. And then we'll get in there and get it calibrated and set up just right. But this was just fantastic looking overall. Just having OLED, OLED at this screen size, and then just the performance you get with it, with in terms of the absolute brightness, the color saturation, and that contrast performance. It was just fantastic. Was really good. And unfortunately, all they had it set up with here was games. Otherwise, it would have been kind of cool to see this in kind of any kind of a work environment with some more text-like content, just to see if it also will suffer from anything like are there any obvious signs of, say, like fringing or other image artifacts that are associated with this kind of display technology. But for games and video, it's going to look pretty fantastic. Yep, here we go. Here's a little, let's see if I can give you a little close up of this. 32 by 9. So it's effectively a couple of 1440p monitors slapped, or three of them put together, you could think of, in a sense. Pretty funny, but excellent, excellent technology. Yes, yes. The Fortnite. Oh, I forget what TV that is. Is that the Arc? I believe it is, that 55-inch super curve that came out a few months ago. Different use cases. I am not saying that is a pretty fantastic looking display when done like that with like a triple window. That could be a pretty cool. I don't know how practical. Giant too. 4K screen. Cloud gaming in force. Now that Google has left the space, so to speak, Nvidia's right there. And they would love for you to play their cloud gaming on, well, in addition to Samsung TVs, I saw quite a few brands that were advertising that as available as a streaming gaming hub and platform. And unfortunately, I did not have a chance to check out Cyberpunk to see how that played as a streaming game. Still, anyway, it was a good demo. Good demo. More micro LED. Show a couple of these, just showing off rich color, incredible contrast. Again, these are some pretty pricey displays. One nice thing is, at least, these are sold as complete units. I don't think I mentioned this before, but these are not individually built from, or built from individual tiles, so to speak, that are placed together and then to create the display like they had with like the wall system and some of their previous designs. These were all like from the factory, ready to go at specific screen sizes in that 50 to 140-inch screen size. So it wouldn't require necessarily any kind of specialized installation. You could do this on your own, or a anybody who's competent enough to install a TV could get that going and done. And it was fantastic. Just an example of one of their other TVs with a cool stand, I think. And oh, this was I think part of this was, well, there's I think the TV that rotates. I don't remember the name of it. And this other one with the industrial design. That was pretty cool. But they had one with the artwork on it. And it might be this one, actually. And they had improved the anti-glare on this screen. And God, I don't think it was this one. Maybe it was. Oh no, okay. You can kind of see to the side there. On the left side is the latest version of the frame. So not only do you have a bajillion ways to actually customize the frame of the frame, the bezel anyway, with metals or woods or whatever, however you want it to look. But the actual screen material itself featured a new matte finish that was very, very good at minimizing room light reflections, and it really made the surface of the screen seem like it was much more paper-like in a sense, or the art didn't really seem like it was sitting on a illuminated screen so much as just a quality display. And that lack of reflection kind of drew you into what the image was and allowed you to appreciate the artwork, I think, a little bit more. It was pretty cool. Uh, uh, Samsung also had their 8K projector demo going, the Premiere. Again, these are single chip DLP. This, as well as the Hisense we were looking at a little earlier. Single chip DLP, I believe it's the 0.94 inch DLP part chipset, and using one chip to create with RGB laser technology to get you that incredible contrast. The color saturation is really the big deal with these. We'll see how well they tune up. I can't wait to actually get eyes on any of them. And what else do we have here? Triple laser. Yep, yep. 4,000 ANSI lumens. Da 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 da. Instant setup. Okay, this was kind of interesting. So they're claiming that apparently this is going to be a feature across some of their projectors, but it'll do like auto leveling and I assume auto keystoning. That's great if you just to make it easier in a sense or to make it quote unquote instant setup. But the one thing I would still want to avoid all of those technologies just to ensure that you're getting the most detail possible out of your image. However, and I hopefully have a picture of it here. There's some more of the 8K, actual 8K images. All looked pretty good, but they had another projector, 4K triple laser. That RGB laser it's great to see. And here's their outdoor TV, the Terrace, another super bright, apparently waterproof TV. Not waterproof, but splash resistant might be the way to put it. They can be expensive, especially the. Oh yeah, yeah. Let's see. I'll go back to that. Where was that? Yep, something like that. You could, provided the airflow is adequate, you could definitely have that integrated pretty nicely, and almost completely out of sight, really. There's the 4K version of their triple laser, the remote. The difference between the outdoor TVs from Samsung effectively is they have direct sun or full sun compatible, which gives you the for effectively double the price. So this is another reason. It's like these are neat TVs, but holy cow, are they expensive? And then they have one that gives you the same robustness in terms of being an outdoor display, but perhaps not quite as bright or not rated for just sitting in the sun directly. They have to be under cover of some kind to help protect them. Here it is. Now, this projector really turned out to not be the greatest out there in terms of, oh, I forget which one this is. It's the white canister you see sitting there at the bottom. They had a pair of these, though, and they can now blend together and to create one ultra wide image. And using an app on your phone, in this case, it was the phone they had sitting right there, they can basically put up this test pattern on the screen. Sarah speak was about RGB? I don't know. Oh, hey, that's a good question. I will find out because I'm sure. Let's see. Do I have anything about? Oh, the sound tower lineup. Let's see. Terrace soundbar. Hmm, here we go. make that a little bit bigger. Well, they have a sound bar, and then the tower. Well, man, that ST90B, 1700 watts, IPX5 rated, water resistance, wheels included, party lights. Oh, 50B, it's up to 18 hours, and the 40B up to 12 hours. So, built in battery. Does that include the 90B as well? I guess so. Pretty crazy. Pretty crazy, man. That's one other thing. Samsung and LG both do these kinds of speakers, and they are pretty interesting. I hope so too. Again, for the outdoor theme, the water and dust resistance. Oh, but here's a quick demo of having two of these projectors and then being able to blend them really quickly using software. In this case, this app or an app running on a Samsung phone was able to look at this test picture or test image, test pattern, so to speak, that both projectors were able to put out. This one here on the right, and there's a mirrored one over on the left. And just by looking at that with the camera, it was able to then to figure out the best way to get those images to combine into a seamless. Whoops. And I've got a black screen. I don't actually show it though, do I? Anyway, there's a close up of the test pattern that you hit a button. Both projectors put up this image. You then use the phone that's linked to the projectors. It takes an image of this with the relative orientation of each test pattern, and then it's able then to seamlessly blend them together. So if you were just looking for the quick and dirty setup on this, it made it really easy, and it was kind of cool to watch. It was just something interesting and clever, and a cool use for a projector they have out there already. More of the micro LED stuff, and I think see if there's anything else here before I hang this up. That looks like the end of it right there. I'll leave it on. Yeah, these TVs were, I mean, as much as I love OLED, when you have something that can easily push 5,000 nits and maintain the contrast performance of an OLED, man, I hope these can become a little more popular. They had very little information in terms of, say, what the absolute resolution was of something, say, like the 50-inch version I think we're looking at right here. I assume once you get up to like, 70 plus inches with these screens, you can easily have 4K. But there is a limit when you get down to the smaller screens, in particular the 50 inches and such, where there's only room for so many of those individual LEDs. And then so are you talking like 720p resolution? And then by the time you get up to, say, the mid range, mid sized screens, you're then approaching something like 1080p. And then the largest screens would be something like a 4K option. And that I'm kind of looking forward to seeing. Or perhaps even the 140 inch would be something like closer to 8K. I don't know. That was something they were not talking about, and we'll kind of have to wait and see. But that said, I think I am going to call it an evening right here, and I'm going to do some more fine tuning for this presentation in terms of the setup and how it looks, and I'll create some more scenes for being able to quickly transition between different things. But I just want to say thank you all again for dropping in for this quick test, and I really appreciate being able to share this with you guys. Oh, here, let me throw up one more picture here. My local Costco. I'll end it with this. It's like Costco TVs. There you go. There's the C2. Just that $2,500 price tag for the 77 inch is still to me just like what a good value. And I am assuming that this should be what you can expect to see the C3 for later, toward the end of its lifespan as well. And to see the absolute light output difference between something, say, like the C3 versus the G3 is something I'll be keeping an eye on. But um, what else do I have here? Let me switch. Hey, there we go. Oh, I'll be messing around with all this a little bit more, smoothing it out. And again, Evan Adams, thank you so much. John Simon, if you're still here, thank you. I appreciate you guys just spending a little bit of time with me while I poke and prod at the broadcast setup I have going here. And until next time, I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your Sunday afternoon, Sunday evening, and I will prod Mr. Patrick Norton and get our butts back on AVXL. If you guys are interested, you can get all the links you want at heronfidelity.com in terms of, or avxl.com, avexcel.com. And Mr. Norton's been a little quiet lately. I need to prod him a little bit to see what the hell we're doing. It would be really nice to get that podcast on a more regular broadcasting basis in terms of us recording. And that should be something we'll be doing here soon. Anyway, until next time, you guys have a great night and take care. Thank you.